More footage from the Ukraine counteroffensive, Russian attack helicopters firing and destroying Ukrainian targets. That's what we are going to talk about today. I am Max Villman, former fighter pilot in the Swedish Air Force on the Gripen, and let's go. So the videos here, they emerged in Russian Telegram channels, of course, as they always do, and were subsequently released on Twitter. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, I talk about these things all the time. So if you find it interesting, you have the links below, Max Villman at Twitter and Instagram. And what we're seeing here, if you have looked, I can link my previous attack helicopter video up here somewhere. If you look here, you have a view from the Russian helicopter's weapon system operators. So this is a Ka-52 Alligator helicopter, one of Russia's most advanced attack helicopters. And there's two crew, one pilot and one weapon system operator, and what we're looking at is the weapon system operator's view here. So there's some flight instruments here. You have the horizontal lines here, and you also have the lines, these green, squares. They show how the helicopter is actually positioned in the air. So this indicates that the helicopter is tilted slightly to the left in this case. Otherwise it is hovering, so it's standing still. You don't see exactly what they are locked onto here. This sort of a box here with the cross, it indicates that they have locked onto something, to a target. And we also don't know if this picture here is actually the representation of the resolution in the cockpit, or if it's being made a slightly lower resolution before being released. We don't know that. We're going to look at the clip soon, and then we will talk about it afterwards.
Наблюдаю. Одну отпустил. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Прямую. Вот смотри еще.
So I wanted to keep the sound on here because it's quite interesting. It's between the weapon system operator and the pilot here, what they're talking. So let's comment here a little bit. You actually heard a tone here in the background, which indicates that the missile that they have selected is locked onto something that is hot here, at least something that is more hot than the background. You typically, when you have IR missiles, you have a tone as a sound that indicates that the missile has locked onto something. So if it's a clear, crisp tone, then you have locked onto something. So this indicates with this box, the sound in the box, that they have locked onto something. So it's probably some sort of vehicle or some sort of structure. I can't really see what it is here. And now they fired. You heard the sound of the firing of the missile, and you will see the missile here in the top of the corner. You also see a timer that started here below, counting down to impact in seconds, I presume. Here you see the missile, the back of the missile, the actual exhaust of the missile, and the smoke. And now the weapon operator is counting down. And he says direct hit. So this indicates to the pilot, because the pilot is not probably not looking exactly at the same picture as the weapon system operator in this case. He's probably looking for threats, G-bad missiles being fired at him or any other thing at the terrain, so they're not flying into anything, while the weapon system operator concentrates on destroying the target. And the countdown makes sure that the pilot knows that once the countdown has reached 0, then he can make an evasive maneuver and move out of this situation. Because, of course, there's sound from the helicopter. They just fired a missile, which has an exhaust, it is smoke, the direct hit on the Ukrainian forces here. All those things, of course, make it so that it's likely that someone will start shooting back at the helicopter here. So that he knows that it's a couple of seconds to impact makes him that he can prepare, he can look into the terrain, where should I position my helicopter next to make my basic maneuver, etc. And then the weapon system operators calls out direct, which means it's a sort of BDA, battle damage assessment, so there's no need to do a follow-up shot on this target, which of course makes it so that they can maneuver away from there.
Захвата еще.
So that is the first clip. I thought it was quite interesting that you have the crew talking to each other. Next clip is unfortunately just lots of music, so nothing from the crew. Another interesting point here is that they have pixelated the instruments that were not pixelated in the last video, which is quite interesting. But the same thing here, you have the horizontal lines here. You have the helicopter is sort of tilted slightly upwards, and that could be because of wind, so that it stays in the same place. It could be that there's wind from behind, sort of blowing the helicopter towards the Ukrainian forces, so that's why they raise their nose a little bit so that they stabilize and stay in position. And this seems to be some sort of vehicle, it's moving. So let's see here. Here you see the missile being fired again here, another missile. The vehicle is moving. And a hit, direct hit there as well. Here's some sort of vehicle standing still, also a direct hit. And a hit here. And as you've seen here, this is probably filmed just now in the summer, and you see no leaves on these trees at all, which indicates that either it's old footage, but I think it's it's just been released, so it's probably just now from the Ukrainian counteroffensive. So this indicates that this position here has been shelled quite heavily with artillery fire, also indicating that it's of course one of the trenches, probably one of the Russian trenches, that has been assaulted by Ukrainian forces and taken over by Ukrainian forces, and now you have Russian attack helicopters showing up to countering the counteroffensive, so to speak. Could be, that's just speculation on my part, but seeing all these leaves being not there during the summer makes me think that that is the case, that these are Russian lines having been run over by Ukrainian forces, and now attack helicopters are working there. So I just wanted to show you these new clips here. I think it's very, very interesting from I'm a reserve officer in the reserves. It's very interesting to see how the Ukrainian counteroffensive is going, and that Russian attack helicopters are still being able to operate quite freely, as it looks, from these engagements. It could also be that these are from a couple of weeks ago. You never know with these things. Of course, every side is trying to put out the picture that they want to have out there in social media, so you never really know, but it's still interesting to see and hear how the operator, weapon system operator and pilot are talking to each other, how they are using their CRM to engage targets. It's also it's something that you can learn from, of course. But I will end it there. If you want to support the channel, please give me a thumbs up, a like, and subscribe to the channel. That helps a lot with the algorithm. And if you want to buy me a coffee, you have links below here, also to join my newsletter, and my social media is linked also. But until next time, as always, fly safe.